We're all seeing AI just, explode everywhere. And this big question keeps popping up. Who actually owns the stuff it creates when we're the ones using it?
Yeah, it's a huge question right now.
It feels really important to get our heads around it.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We want to make it, well, crystal clear who really has the rightful claim to all those amazing and sometimes, let's be honest, weird things we make with AI.
Okay, and we've been looking at this really great piece, User Ownership of AI-Generated Outputs. It lays out a super strong argument.
It really does. Very meticulous.
So let's break it down, starting basic. What is AI in this whole creation context, fundamentally?
Well, think of it as a really sophisticated tool. It's software, right? Following instructions we give it. Fundamentally, it's not so different from, say, using a camera or even a word processor.
Right. You point the camera, you type the words, you're directing it.
Exactly. You're the one calling the shots, setting the parameters.
Even those fancy self-learning ones.
Even those. They still start with data we provide and algorithms we design and tweak. They operate within the boundaries we set.
It's like a sculptor using chisels, maybe. The sculptor owns the statue, not the chisel maker.
That's a perfect analogy. The AI is the chisel, you're the sculptor. Which leads us nicely into the sort of philosophical side of ownership.
Yeah, the piece talks a lot about creative agency and intentionality.
The argument is that it's your human creativity, your vision, your intent that brings originality to the table.
You're the one putting the meaning into it.
Precisely. AI doesn't have consciousness.
Yeah.
It has no intentions of its own, no moral compass, none of those Kantian things needed for true authorship. It can't decide something is meaningful.
So when I write a prompt, I'm injecting the purpose.
You are. That's your intellectual labor, your creative input. Think Locke's labor theory. You mix your labor, your creative direction, with the resource, the AI, and the result is yours. The value comes from your input.
Okay. That makes sense philosophically, but what about the law? It feels like the legal world is still, scrambling a bit.
It is, but there's some clear signals. In the U.S., the Copyright Office is, well, quite firm. You need human authorship for copyright.
So purely AI-generated stuff is out?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
But here's the key bit. If you significantly guide the AI, if there's substantial human creativity involved, selecting outputs, arranging them, modifying them, then the resulting work can qualify for copyright, your copyright.
So it hinges on my active creative role.
Exactly. Your direction and intervention.
What if it feels less like I'm creating and more like I'm, commissioning the AI, like telling it what to make?
That's another really helpful angle, the work-for-hire doctrine analogy.
Okay, like hiring a freelance designer.
Precisely. You commission work, you give instructions, they produce it, and you, the commissioner, own the final product. The AI, legally, is a tool, not a person or entity that can hold rights.
It can't sign a contract.
Right, so the ownership naturally defaults to the user who commissioned the work. And this isn't new territory for the law, really.
You mean with other technologies?
Yeah. Courts have consistently ruled that the user of a tool owns what they create with that tool, not the person who made the tool itself.
Like, Adobe doesn't own my Photoshop creations.
Exactly that. The tool enables, but the user directs and creates.
Got it. But, some people argue these AIs are getting so complex it feels less like using a tool and more like collaborating. Almost like it has a mind of its own sometimes.
That's a fair point. The outputs can be unpredictable, surprising even.
Right, like a happy accident in painting.
Yes, but the article argues that unpredictability doesn't equal autonomy or co-authorship. You still decide if that surprising output is good, if it works, how to use it, whether to discard it or refine it.
So the final judgment and application are still mine.
Correct. That element of human selection, curation, and integration is crucial. It's still your creative agency at play.
Okay, then there's the other big counterargument. The training data. What about all the copyrighted stuff the AI might have learned from? Doesn't that cloud the ownership of what I generate?
That's a really important issue, definitely. But the piece argues it's a separate issue from who owns the output.
How so?
Well, whether the AI's training was perfectly licensed or potentially infringing is one legal question. But who owns the new work created by the user interacting with the tool? That's a different question. The argument is that the creators of the tool or the owners of the training data don't inherently get rights to the specific new things you create using that tool.
Okay, so training data issues don't automatically transfer ownership of my output away from me.
That's the position, yes. It's complex, but distinct from user ownership of the generated result.
All right, so wrapping this up, what are the absolute key takeaways we should leave everyone with?
I think the central idea is AI is a tool. A powerful one, yes, but ultimately a tool that amplifies your creativity. It doesn't replace you as the creator.
And both the philosophy and the law seem to back that up.
Largely, yes. Philosophically, it's about your intent and creative agency. Legally, copyright focuses on human authorship, recognizing your input when it's substantial. And the work-for-hire concept reinforces you as the director or the owner.
So, AI is a tool. User provides the creativity and intent. Law supports user ownership with enough human input. And training data is a separate fight.
That sums it up nicely.
Okay, so here's a final thought to chew on. If we accept this framework, that we own what we create with AI, how might that influence, innovation? Will it push AI development in certain ethical directions?
That's a fascinating question. Recognizing user ownership could definitely incentivize more people to use and experiment with AI, potentially leading to unforeseen creative booms.
And for you, listening now, how does thinking about it this way that you're the owner change how you might approach using AI tools yourself? Something to consider as this tech keeps evolving around us.